Is planning a series of large-scale deadly attacks aimed at high-profile targets. The head of Britain's MI5 security service telling Parliament, quote, a group of core Al-Qaeda terrorists in Syria is planning mass casualty attacks against the West. We face a very serious level of threat that is complex to combat and unlikely to abate significantly for some time, end quote. And U.S. officials now agreeing with that British assessment. Ryan Mauro is a security analyst for the Clarion project and my guest today. So, lest we think that this is only in France today, I guess we should think again.
Oh, absolutely. Al-Qaeda wants to turn this into their comeback tour because the Islamic State has been getting all of this attention with everything that ISIS is doing, and there was sort of a Jihadist Olympics going on between the two of them saying who's going to be the top dog. And for a while it looked like ISIS. But now with this attack, because it has links to overseas, it was pre-planned, it was very successful from their mind. Now Al-Qaeda basically has the championship belt and can say, okay, we're still number one. So now ISIS has to respond to that.
Okay, so how do we combat that? We're talking about MI5 in Britain, but we're talking about America here at home too. We're killing these terrorists with drone strikes, but that kind of appears to be all, right?
Right. Well, there's a whole range of options that we need to do. First of all, you have to counter the ideology and recognize that it is an ideology, that this isn't just the terrorism tactic. The goal here was to make the West self-censor. They wanted to make the West comply with Sharia standards because they're not powerful enough to conquer us and implement it from the top down. So they're making us so afraid that we implement it upon ourselves. So don't give in to that and vindicate the ideology. You obviously have to make sure that they don't gain territory in places like Libya or in Yemen, because what organizations like this do is that that's their recruiting pitch. They say, okay, you may disagree with what we're doing right now, but if we're having success, then that means Allah is blessing us. That is how it's interpreted whenever the U.S. goes to war against one of these groups, but they're still successful.
Well, how crucial is it for President Obama to be on center stage and not call it what it is then? Does that matter?
Oh, it absolutely matters. It matters in forming a strategy, and also is very important for sparking that critical conversation in the Muslim world about where are these interpretations coming from, because it is an interpretation of Islam. Many Muslims have different interpretations, but it is an interpretation. And so there are some amazing things happening in the Muslim world. For example, the new president of Asia was saying that we need to update our thinking and our interpretations so that this doesn't continue to happen. The Egyptian president said the same thing and said the Muslim world is becoming a source of aggression against the rest of the world, and we need to update our interpretations. And that's not an anti-Islam or anti-Muslim thing to do, to say that our interpretations are flawed. So we have to focus on the religious discourse and the ideology. Otherwise, we're going to be destroying one terrorist group, and then they're going to be replaced the next day.
I think what's making people so nervous today, yesterday, and moving forward is that the President of the United States, in his campaign message just a few years ago, said Osama bin Laden is dead and Al-Qaeda's on the run. And apparently that is absolutely false.
That is what you say when you focus on terrorism as a tactic. We've been narrowing down the war on terrorism to be just about one group, and not just one group, but one part of a group. I remember a speech that President Obama gave where he was saying not every Al-Qaeda affiliate basically needs to be treated as a number one threat. Not everyone that calls them Al-Qaeda is a number one threat. Yes, they are, and there's an ideological underpinning here, and that's also why we've mishandled groups like the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, because we're focusing just on one group, and if you condemn Al-Qaeda and you condemn ISIS, then we treat you as if you're an angel, and that's not the case.
Ryan Mauro, very interesting analysis. Thank you very much.